Hey, welcome to my DIY lighting studio. I just set up a table. I'm cutting up some stuff to make some DIY lighting equipment here. I am DIYing it myself. I'm just making the last couple cuts here on a piece of cardboard, and basically I'm just cutting out a rectangle in the middle of a piece of cardboard so that I can make a diffuser. And all you need is just some sheet of cardboard, could be from anything. You could use foam core, you could use heavy poster board even, I suppose. I think cardboard's probably the cheapest, most available thing. And just using a utility knife and popping that out. In fact, this piece actually came out of this piece. So I cut one out to make a big diffuser, and then I used the piece that I had cut out of it to make my smaller diffuser. And the diffusing material I'm going to use, also super readily available to you, white kitchen trash liner. Trash bag, really easy. I'm just going to get in here and cut off the top, this piece where, where like the little drawstring is. I got the fancy ones with the drawstrings. You don't need to get the fancy ones, but I don't need that drawstring on there. I'm just going to cut that off. So what I'm going to end up doing is kind of butterflying this thing open and using part of it on one frame of my diffuser and part of it on the other frame of the diffuser. So I'm just going to slip this open on the sides. I'm just going to cut off the sides, but you could reach in and kind of slit it open. You could use scissors to do this. I'm using a utility knife or mat knife, or whatever you want to call it, box cutter kind of knife. And nothing really to it, just cutting off that edge so that will open up. I'm going to leave the bottom attached at the moment, though I may cut that off too. Tell you, one of the most valuable tools I ever bought for myself doing art and framing and presentation and mat cutting and that kind of stuff is this. This is a heavy straight edge. It's not a ruler. It has no inch markings on it. It's much heavier than a ruler, and it has a cork backing, and it's really good to cut straight lines against. I think it's 24 inches long. Cuts most of the things I need to do. I also have a nice cutting mat to cut onto. So now I'm going to fold this open, and I've got a nice big sheet. So I could make a diffuser that was that big if I wanted to. I'm going to take part of this across my big frame and cut off whatever I have left and use that for the small frame. So let's lay this on out here like that. And tape it with what? Tape it with whatever you want. I've got some blue painter's tape. I got some postal tape. You could use masking tape. There's really not much to it. I wonder if I could even go sideways. Do I have enough space to go sideways? Yeah. Kind of cutting it close. I'll do it this way. So lay that out there like so, and just tape it into place. Now I'll tell you, this blue painter's tape is kind of like masking tape. It's not a really strong adhesive. It peels up pretty easily, which is good and bad. If you want to take it off and reposition it, it's easy to do that. If you want it to stay for a month, a year in place, it might not hold that long. It's not really designed to stick for very long because it's meant for painting and being able to peel something right up off after you've painted a line. It's meant for cutting in hard edged lines when you're house painting or something. So it's not complicated, I mean, if you can, I was about to say, if you can wrap a Christmas present, you can do this, but honestly, it's easier than wrapping a present. You could tape it all the way around if you want. I'm just adding a few pieces here and there. And I'm going to get down to this end down here and cut off this little part right here so I can maybe reuse it for my smaller piece. Okay, save that over there. Put a few last pieces of tape here. Now I'm using just one ply of this trash bag. If you don't want to bother going through all the cutting and you've got plenty of trash bags, you could use just a full trash bag without cutting it open. It'll probably be a little bit, it'll take away a little bit of light when you go to, I don't know why I'm holding this here for you, can't really see it, but anyway, this is my diffuser. And so the light comes through here just like a white flag in the studio. And it's really lightweight, so it's not that hard to clip it into place with clothespins or duct tape or whatever you've got to do as an ingenuity little thing there. So that's one, and then hopefully this is big enough for my second. Oh yeah, plenty big. In fact, I could even cut some of that off. Or I could wrap it around and be really fancy. How about that? Yeah, ooh, that looks like I'm really, it's a pro thing. You want to get really fancy, you can also make a gobo where instead of just one big rectangle, you cut out like 4 rectangles with a little crossbar in the middle of it, and now you can cast light through that and make it look like a window. That's how like film noir lighting might be done, with kind of night light coming through a window, you know, street light, full moonlight, whatever. And I'll fold this over. So, you know, I didn't mean to make this fancier, it's just that the piece was bigger than I needed and I didn't feel like cutting it down, so I'm just wrapping it around the outside and taping it on the reverse side. You know, it doesn't really matter which way the light goes through. The light doesn't know which way it's going through. It doesn't make a difference. Okay, and there's my second diffuser. And maybe to demonstrate that, I'll show you next bit of DIY lighting equipment is clamp lamp. So just kind of a standard clamp lamp. This is a very small little reflector bell around it. They make bigger ones. I don't know, this might be a 6-inch bell or 5-inch bell, and I think they make ones that are 8 or 10 inches or so. So I'm gonna uncoil my cord here and plug it in. And I'll show you this shining with and without the diffuser. Another little bit of helpful DIY lighting equipment, little extension cords. Pretty inexpensive. I don't know, this might be like a 6 or 8 foot extension cord. And I've got a power strip down here at the bottom that I can plug into. Also helpful to have a couple power strips on hand, so you've got multiple outlets coming from one wall outlet. And usually each one of these extension cords you can plug 2 or 3 things into. Trying to get it all tangled up like it was for me there. And plug that in, and there's my light. Okay, so I'm going to clamp that onto this floor lamp over here because I don't have anything like a fancy stand. You probably don't have any fancy stands either. So I'm just going to clamp it on there. I can angle this whichever way I want. If you have a little, like a wrench or something, you can tighten and loosen this little wing nut up at the top. I realize you can't see what I'm doing there. Let me adjust this upward a little bit. But there is, might be easier to see this if I turn this off. There's a little wing nut adjustment right there to tighten and loosen this kind of ball joint so you can aim the light in different directions, and you don't want it slumping over, so you want to tighten that down. If you find that the clamp itself is always loosening like this, one little bit of advice I have is hang it upside down. Again, the light doesn't care, doesn't know which way it's facing. But if you hang it upside down like that, then it has less gravity to kind of tip over. So let's take a look real quick. Now that I have that clamp set up, I'm going to move my tripod over here so you can maybe see the light on something. And I didn't really think about having a subject ready to shoot here. Let's see if I look around and find something fun. Alligator head. I come from Florida. We have alligators. Alligator head. So if I turn off my, I turn on my clamp lamp, and I'm going to turn off my real lamp over here that I've been working with, so we can see just this lamp on the alligator head. Okay. And I don't know, can I zoom in with doing this? No, I probably can't. Okay. I'll angle it down and bring you guys in a little bit closer. So there's the alligator head by itself. And now I'll put the diffuser in the way. And now we have much softer light. There's without it. You see really sharp shadows down here. The snout, the teeth. I put the diffuser in, much, much softer. I can go vertical if I want, if that's helpful. If I want to spread the light out even more, use the really big diffuser. Okay, now there's almost no shadow whatsoever. If I want to vary how much shadow there is, and you guys probably know this from the studio, but the closer I put the diffuser to the light, the more direct the light feels, the little bit harder the shadows are. The farther away I make the diffuser from the light, the closer to the subject I make the diffuser, the softer the shadows get. Because the light source is getting bigger relative to the subject when I do that. Really close, we have still a small kind of light source with a hot spot. Farther away from the light and closer to the subject, we have a much bigger light source relative to the subject and no hot spot. So much, much softer. What else to show you? Well, in addition to nice bright bulbs like this, and this isn't really all that bright to be honest, we could use colored bulbs. I have one in here with colored bulb. This is a blue bulb, and I'll turn this on and set it to the other direction. And you know, I haven't even really set up a backdrop here yet, but you'll get the idea, and we'll cover some more fancier arrangements in future videos. Okay, here's a little blue light. I'm just going to set it right down near the subject. Get a little eerie quality on that. Maybe I will diffuse from one side. And so here's where I got to get clever, because how am I going to keep that diffuser in place, right? I could get fancy and clamp it in different ways over here, whatever. I kind of want this to sit in here. I've got a wall right here that this is next to. I'm just going to tape this to the wall. So it's all about kind of figuring out solutions. And honestly, I'm just figuring this out on the fly. I didn't really plan this out with too much choreography here. But I'm going to take a little tape and maybe try to tape that to the wall like so. There's my lamp. There's my diffusing light. Here's my, get all this crap out of the background. There's my kind of creepy blue light off to one side. Another little bit of DIY lighting equipment would just be a piece of white foam cord. And that's going to bounce a little bit of light from here back into the other side. Maybe if I pull this away and I go with more of a dramatic direct light from one side, and then just a little bit of bounce to fill it in on the other side. So these are just different kinds of really simple do-it-yourself lighting stuff. I haven't even yet set up a background, but I did bring some stuff to do that, so I'll do that right here on the fly with you guys watching. So gator head off to the side, bring this over here. Oh, almost forgot. In addition to that white foam board, and you may have seen this in my other video, I took a piece of foam board and I just taped tin foil all over the back of one piece of foam board. All I did was I laid down a roll of tape every so often in kind of a grid, got out sheets of tin foil, pressed it down into place, kind of pressed it along there, and kind of made it wrinkly because I kind of like a little bit of that wrinkly pattern, reflects the light in interesting ways. And now that is also, ooh, cool blue effect, right? So super simple, didn't cost me anything. I mean, very little. So what about backdrop? Now, if you could go buy yourself a fancy roll of backdrop paper. I've got some old prints here that I'm not using anymore. I don't think I'm going to do anything with them. I'm going to actually like set up a little seamless and just tape these into place. Now, this isn't going to be for a really big setup, but for a small thing like gator head would work perfectly well. And here again, I'm just going to tape those into place. What did I do with my tape though? Here's my tape. Now you don't want to do this with just like really flimsy paper. It'll end up wrinkling and stuff. I would work with at least like, you know, kind of a little bit of a heavier weight paper. And I'm just going to tape this up to the wall like so and so. Now here's where the painter's tape or masking tape is usually pretty good because you want that to be able to come off later. And I'm going to use that second print right now. And now I'm going to tape down here. Hopefully you guys are able to see that. Lighting is kind of weird right now, but just taping this down there and there. And now I have a little quarter pipe, a little skate ramp, a little white seamless backdrop. And I can, once again, maybe set my gator head down on there and start playing with the direction of the lighting. Okay. You know what? He's a gator. He's in the swamp. I think the swamp's being green, so it's a hot bulb, but I'm going to take out this party bulb. This is just a fluorescent tube, compact fluorescent bulb that's blue. And I'm going to get out one that is green, more appropriate maybe for my swampy friend here. Oh yeah, green gator, cool. Or I could do blue and green. And let me see if I can put you, my faithful audience, in a little closer position to kind of see what I'm eventually going to shoot. I wish I could zoom in, and I don't want to take the time to lower the whole tripod, but you're starting to kind of get what I'm going after there. And maybe I'm going to put my diffuser back into place. You can see that as I add the diffuser, the light that's coming through the diffuser is weakened because some of that light gets eaten up by the diffusing material. It doesn't all get through the diffuser. And so, so it's a little weaker. The green light as a result is stronger. If I want to weaken that green light, I could always back it off a little farther away. And I always just start playing with things, you know, and do I want to add another light? Do I want to add more diffusing? Do I want to move the angle around, change it? And this is just starting to become like a little at-home studio project that I can keep working on. All right, I think that's enough for right now, and we'll do more in future videos, hopefully.